Okay, we're back. One more time. The question was, we used to eat more burgers. Remember, you guys used to eat more burgers in videos. More burgers in Japan, but we see some changes in your preferences from food in recent videos. So, like I was saying, it appears we eat like we're burger people. We really aren't.
I'm.
You're actually anti-burgers, kind of.
I am kind of anti-burgers.
It was.
I don't know how to explain.
For the first year that we were here, we shot a whole lot of video that ended up turning into the Living in Japan series. But it was like I had shot all this video for an entire year and then edited it all together and then put it up. Like we didn't put up weekly videos or anything. It was like there was nothing getting put up for an entire year, and then at the end of the year, I just put up all that stuff. And I mean, at that time, nobody was watching our channel or anything, so it was just like whatever. I'll just put it up whenever it happens. And then we put it all up, and then it was up. And then after that, that video kind of got a little bit popular. So people started watching our channel more. So like we were like, okay, well I'll just start putting up more videos more frequently instead of like in a big chunk. And it just happened to be that we would just go to McDonald's and they have a special burger, so I would just make it.
And it's not only that they had those special things, which they always have those special things, and many of the fast food joints here do, but that's something that's very communicable to everyone. Everybody knows about a hamburger.
Yeah.
And it's a way to, maybe not everybody knows about sake. Like, we go and we taste it, but...
Or if you want to talk about food like gyudon or something.
Yeah,
like,
so...
Like, maybe they have a special, maybe somebody has a special gyudon, and they do sometimes. But, like, if I make a video about a special gyudon, a lot of Americans are going to be like, how is that different than a normal gyudon? It's not relatable. And it's not necessarily that I'm trying to make videos that are going to be relatable to people or anything. I just think about, like... At that time, when we were making all those burger videos, I was like, well, my friends might find this wasabi burger or whatever interesting because it's relatable to them, as opposed to making, I was making videos for friends and stuff. So it sort of just kind of became a thing we made videos of. And it's funny because I don't really eat burgers outside of those videos. Like, it's very rare.
Oh, I don't.
It's very rare for me to go get a burger unless we're like, oh, there's an interesting burger, let's go make a video about it. So...
I think I've had like 3 in Japan outside of videos.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And one of them is really...
If I'm drunk, I eat cheeseburgers from McDonald's, but even that's pretty rare because I don't drink very often.
I don't count those as hamburgers, I count those as dessert.
But I think more the spirit of the question was... Do you feel like your palate has changed living in Japan?
Oh, palate's definitely changed.
Yeah, me too.
My fear of food has definitely changed. I would eat things before, but now I'm just like, oh my god, it's over. I think the grown up in me kind of just took over a little bit, especially when it. Understanding what's available at the store.
Yeah. And that's a difficult thing to do when you can't read anything when you first come into a country.
Yeah.
Going to a grocery store and having to cook for yourself is like an adventure in itself.
It's still an adventure.
Yeah, it's not as bad now. Like,
I think in America I'd probably understand maybe about 75% of what's going on in the like fruit and vegetable area. Here I understand about
Japanese vegetables
50%.
Like, a lot of things I'll know what it is. Like, I'll look at it and know what it is, like, in my head, but I don't know what it's called in any language. Like, okay, it's that thing. It's, like, long and green, and the inside is kind of yellow, that thing, or whatever.
I don't know that thing.
Yeah, I was just saying words. Yeah, but as far as, like, palate changing, some of it is just, I think, having gotten older. I mean, I've gotten 5 years older here. So, like, your palate just changes and things you like. But it was more noticeable going back to America and eating things and just being like, it's so fattening feeling, or just feels so greasy, or the portions are so big. Things like that to me are what it was more
along those same lines. Like, since I started like caring about my diet and stuff like that, it's knowing what things mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's partially growing up and partially just...
And sometimes I thought lollipops were just completely free of all fatteningness, and now I kind of understand that they're not good for you.
Yeah. So I think that basically, yeah, I feel more like I feel like I understand those dietary differences more upon returning to America than I do my daily life in Japan. You know, it's because it just hits you in the face. So I guess that's that answer.
Yeah.
Let's see. Erica said after, like in response to that question, she said, "This is so true. I remember Katie saying at one point that beans shouldn't be sweet." But
beans are not dessert.
But you like Anko now, don't you?
I like Anko.
Yeah, so that has changed. That's funny. She noticed that. Simon says, "Hey guys, first and foremost, I want to say how much I love and appreciate your videos. Keep it up." So on to my question, what is the music scene like in Japan? I remember in one video you guys were talking about the punk scene, but what about music in general? Also, is there one thing you could have from home? What would it be? Being such a huge music fan myself, I've always wondered what it would be like abroad. We're not that connected to the music scene. I've kind of been around the punk scene a little bit, but not really that much. Like I go to some shows every once in a while, and the punk scene. I have a friend who's really into it, and that's mostly my window into their punk scene. And the punk scene in Japan is very kind of tight knit, honestly. Even throughout the entire country, like people will come from the other side of the country and they will play, and like everybody will already know who they are. Like they all know each other, usually through Twitter. So the whole punk community kind of communicates online and is not that big. I mean, there's quite a few bands, but I mean, when you think about the population of Japan and like how big of an area it is, it's not like there's like, 30,000 people involved in the punk scene here. It's not that big. Like it's small enough that almost everybody can kind of know each other. So I mean, there's probably like 1,000 or 1,500 people or something involved in the community, from what I can tell, just based on like very unscientific research that I've done. Anything else, though, to be honest with you, like I don't know anything about it. Like the music scene, it's strong here, and it's
karaoke is fun.
Yeah, and there's definitely. Like, I felt like when we went to other countries and stuff, I noticed there's a lack of a modern music scene. Like, if you go to Thailand and stuff, there's not, like, a rock community and stuff in the same sense that there is in, like, Japan or in America or in the UK or whatever. And I think Japan falls more into, like, America and UK style music scene than places that are a little more, like, outside of the economic region, economic prosperity of Japan and stuff. But I don't really have a very good answer aside from that.
Nothing.
I mean, that might
not
be
even gonna try to.
That might be a better.
I feel like I'll just insult anything if I start talking about it.
And when we went to the Denpagumi Inku show, and like people go and like they deeply know everything there is going on. Like they have all these dance moves and stuff that the crowd does and stuff, and like people are really into it. And I mean, that's really all I can say is like the music scene exists and people do get quite into it. But other than that, I don't know.
I hear people have headphones in on the train.
Yeah, people wear headphones on the train. Sometimes you can hear their music too, every once in a while. What is something you could? The other question here was, if you could bring one thing from home here, what would it be?
Have a lot of things from home here.
It's been so long now. I wish I had a drum set in my house. That was so cool in America. I had a drum set in my house for like 10 years.
Yeah, I would definitely.
To just go play drums. Like, I'd do it every day, you know? Like, I'd come home from work and I'd go and I'd sit there and I'd play drums, and that was kind of like my exercise, and getting to do that was really nice, and I don't get to do that here, obviously.
Can it be Muggsy? He's dead, but... Maybe the ability to have a pet accessible but not owned.
Yeah, like
because
a friend with a pet. You need a friend with a pet.
Here, I don't have any friends. None of my friends have pets because we all have small apartments or live with our family or whatever. And even if you did have a friend that had a pet, more than likely their pet will stay at home and they won't bring it over to your house. There's a lot of pets in America, and pet accessibility is something that I would...
OPP.
Yeah. Other people's puppies.
Um, Marlana? Am I saying that one right? Marlana?
Marlana, yeah.
Marlana? I like that name. Marlana. Can you say that in Japanese?
Marana.
That L and R together. Marana. Marana. I'm wondering how the sayings you guys use came to be regularly used by you. I know a couple were taken from TV shows Katie likes. For example, sweet treats, sweet treats, bang bang, nubbins, let's adventure are all things I find myself using now that I've watched so many of your videos. I'm just curious if there are any phrases that you came up with or that you liked and adopted for regular use. Do you consider any phrase in particular to be a catchphrase of sorts? I don't think we mean to do that. I just think...
Apparently, when I was in America, what did I keep saying? I was like, oh, it's spectacular. I kept using the phrase.
Did somebody call you on that?
Yeah. Spectacular. I kept using that. I didn't realize that I was using that a lot. For real, I use that a lot.
For real, you do.
For real.
We don't try to come up with catchphrases or anything. I think we...
It just comes out.
Have sort of a way of talking sometimes.
Yeah.
Like...
I don't know. It's one of my favorite ones.
I don't know.
And what's messed up is we'll be having like a moment that's really like you should not say it in that way because sometimes you're just having a conversation and it gets a little bit heated and then the person asks you a question and you should not
be snotty.
You should not be snotty, but the only way I know how to say that phrase is I didn't know, and it's really bad.
It's from Seinfeld. So we do pick up things from mostly Seinfeld, but there's other TV shows.
But I think that for me sometimes it's like just piecing random shit together, and I especially love to take words and squish them together. Like the bajoozy. It's gonna take off people. Everybody wants a bajoozy.
Jan asks, have there been any scenarios, travel plans, situations in which the two of you did not agree on how to proceed or what to do?
There's been several times where we've just walked in this different directions. Because for some reason it gets so like we're going that way. Have a bit of that.
But I mean, like, I don't think we've ever been like, oh, we should go, like, one of us has been like, we should go to A country, and then the other one was like, no.
We split up in that one place, because you took the plane and I took the bus.
In Myanmar.
Yeah,
but that wasn't like a disagreement, that was just because we had already bought the bus ticket and you didn't want to spend the money. That was a bad idea, though. Like, that was the stupidest thing we've ever done, I think. You should have stayed with me. I was really sick.
We've had to make choices where one of us stays in Japan and the other goes to America.
Yeah, that sucks.
But that's mainly just work-related and money-related.
Yeah.
And annoyance-related.
But I don't think we've ever been like, oh, I want to go to, India, and the other person was like, no. Like, we were both like, okay, let's go to India. Like, there was no, there was never nothing big like that. And I don't think that even, like, when it comes down to going to a town, we've ever really been like, one person was like, I really want to go, and the other person said no. Like,
I think there may have been times, I feel like there might have been where one of us was like, well, it's this country or that country, and the other person would say, like, I don't know about that country, but we still just went together.
Yeah.
There's no reason. I don't know.
But I mean, we do bicker, like, of course.
Yeah.
Like right now.
I don't know.
Robert says, I saw a discussion about this topic on the internet. As Americans, have you ever encountered anger or open prejudice from elderly Japanese people who remember the devastation of the attack on Hiroshima and Nagasaki? No. I used to think, like, maybe people are saying bad things about us, like, in Japan, and we just can't understand it. But now I can understand it, and people just don't say bad things. People here are nice. Like, people are thinking different things, perhaps, but, like, you don't get treated poorly, and I don't, I think that I hear about this stuff on the internet where people are like, oh, like I went into this restaurant and this person was rude to me or something, or they didn't want us in there and stuff. And I don't know how people are getting into these situations. I'm thinking maybe they're just going in and behaving bizarre.
You came back from Sendai and you told me that you and Brian and them went to a bar and the bar said no foreigners.
No.
The feeling that I get about
That's not what happened. The bar did not say no foreigners.
Well, I've seen that happen before. Let me finish my thought. You can redirect.
Well, I just don't want you to start spreading these internet rumors.
Oh, well, I'm not. I'm not. There have been instances where it's been obvious that just because we're different, that people don't want to deal with that. And I think that comes from frustration, or more from fear, or more from embarrassment than it does from hatred.
Yeah.
It's what I'm getting at.
Tom had an interesting point about this. A friend of mine came and he thinks that sometimes sometimes you go into a restaurant or something and they'll just be like they just put their hands up like this, and this looks really rude in English, but it just means like there's no availability or whatever. And so you're always second guessing, like, is this because they really don't have any availability? Like, you'll see a seat that's open, I mean, you don't know, though. Maybe they have a reservation. Like, maybe somebody's coming in 10 minutes, or maybe, somebody got up and went to the bathroom and they, you don't know exactly what's going on in the room, so it's not like you can argue with them or something. But you do kind of think, like, is this happening because I'm a foreigner? So, but it's not fair to make that assessment unless you have, like, real proof of it. But my friend Tom said, like, if that is what's happening, like, he thinks that it's more they are worried they're not going to be able to properly give you proper service because of language barriers or whatever. So it's not like a hatred thing. It's more about like they have a set level of standard for themselves, and if they feel like they can't reach that, they're not comfortable with dealing with people that wouldn't be able to like partake in the service properly. I thought that was an interesting way to think about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it does.
It's like if they don't have the language of the toilet is that we have toilet paper here. They're not gonna let you into the toilet if they don't have toilet paper here. They're going to tell you not to come in, and that is like, I don't have English, I don't have the right toilet paper for you.
What?
I don't know. That's the best analogy there's ever been about that.
But anyway, like, no, I've never felt like, honestly, 90% of the time old people see me, they're just jaw dropped because of how big I am. Like, yeah, I know. And usually they're jaw dropped and they're happy, like big smiles on their faces, or they ask me how tall I am, or they'll just like put their hand up like above them, like with this big smile on their face, and that's how old people tend to react. Like,
I'm such a basic bitch; they don't even see me anymore.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't feel like I've ever had any hatred. Racism here is not. It does not equate the same way that racism in America does. It does not work the same way, and that's it's a really complex situation to try to explain. But that's kind of how I feel.
But I've never, ever felt like anybody hated me here.
No.
I've never felt any hatred.
I'm sure
prejudice.
Somebody has. There have to be people on the train or something that are crazy.
We get asked a question about that, not frequently, but I think in every question and answer thing we've done, there's been that question of prejudice or hatred, and
yeah, I agree with you. That was Robert. Okay.
Do you have to pee?
Liam says, "Do you guys want to go back to Vietnam at some point?
Yes.
On a motorbike trip? There are On a motorbike trip, there are inspired by your videos. Just finished the route you guys took to Nha Trang and continued to Hanoi. It's been incredible so far." He's on it. He's doing it now. Oh, that's what he's saying.
I hate you.
Okay. He's on a trip right there. Oh, at this moment. Now I understand the ATM. I was like, what is this? This guy's hitting the ATM?
It's in the ATM.
At this moment. Oh, wow. That's amazing. You got to do it? Because, yeah, that's what we want to do. We want to do the entire length of Vietnam, but we were like, it'll probably take a month to do it the way we wanted to do it, and we only had 2 weeks, so we did half of Vietnam. But, yes, we would love to go back and do the rest of Vietnam.
God, I feel like we did, 5% of Vietnam.
Yeah, I know. Oh, well, remember now we talked about going south to these islands or something, and then scooping back up and going all the way to Hanoi.
Yeah, would go back split
Yeah.
second.
Yeah, without a doubt, go back and deal with those cold showers again.
Yep.
Jim asks, what's your favorite book and are you reading any books right now? This question goes to each of you. Thanks, Barbara and Jim. Favorite book?
Well, today I read some crap at work.
Yeah, but book.
I don't read books, people.
You read all day at work.
I am not a reader.
I'm not. Neither of us
The
are.
only thing that I read in my spare time is the Time magazines that my boss gives me. She has a subscription here in English, and she gives them to me when she's done with them. So I learn about the world 3 weeks after everyone else learns about the world. This is the only thing that I read in my spare time. And the other thing that I read in my spare time is travel guidebooks in Japanese, which basically means I'm not reading them because I can't read them, but I do spend hours and hours looking at these. So those are my... And I proofread. I'm a reader at work. I read enough. I'm defensive about this. People are like, don't read books. Like, I read for 8 hours a day.
My favorite book is probably The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I read it when I was in high school, and ever since then I've read it over and over and over, like the whole series. And I really, really like it. It's really funny, and it's genius. I also went through a period of time where I was reading a lot of, like, biographies, autobiographies. Autobiography is, like, if you write your own, right? Autobiography?
Yeah.
Autobiographies of astronauts, like from in the 60s and 70s, and I read a lot of their autobiographies, and I really, really got into it.
Get Fuzzy. I like Get Fuzzy.
Get Fuzzy, the comic book.
Yeah.
If you want to read a really good autobiography, I think it's what was it called? Lighting the Candle or something. It's the Michael Collins autobiography.
I read some of that.
It's amazing, really, really good. So
He's got a great mustache.
That was he does have a good mustache sometimes, yeah. But that was one of my favorite books easily. I'd actually read that again.
Isn't it the other side of the moon?
No. It's something about lighting the candle or something like that. Anyway, I have he autographed my copy too. I still have it.
Sweet.
Yeah. It's in your dad's house, I think. Laura says, do you ever sit on the floors in restaurants? Sometimes in Japan, like the flooring has like a tatami floor, which is like a Japanese flooring, and then you sit on the floor and you eat there. Usually if you have to do that, of course you have to take your shoes off before you go into that area, so it's very clean. And yeah, I mean, at izakayas and stuff, like Japanese bars, we'll go there, and that'll be somewhat common. It's a little tough on my back, because usually it's not the sitting on the floor that's so hard, but the table's height is really low, and because of how long my legs are, if I cross my legs like Indian style, they don't fit under the table very well. So that is more my problem, is the table height than anything. But sometimes you'll have a really nice restaurant where underneath the table, it'll be like a place to put your legs down, and those are actually really comfortable. Like I like sitting on tatami floors that have like a recessed area under the table. That's really nice. So and let's see. Steve and Rachel said, you've both been back in the U.S. very recently. Did anything feel alien to you because you've been away for so long? Was there anything you found yourself missing from Japan while you were back home, apart from each other, obviously?
I found it really hard to talk to people. People talked faster than I thought they were going to talk. And I went through a lot of accents while I was there. I mean, I was in Alabama for a little while. It's just on my flights for layovers and stuff. Boston.
Boston.
I can't say it. London. Like, all of these different accents were, like, very crazy. Other things that I found shocking. Speed. Oh, my God. Oh.
On 95?
Oh my God, my brother was going like 72 miles an hour, and I could just feel G's. Like, all I could feel was like holding on, like, why are we going so fast? We don't need to go this fast. And the next night, we had 2 cars, and his girlfriend was tired, so he was going to drive one car with her, and he was like, can you drive the other car? I was like, we need to start out slow. Everything gonna go real fast, but we need to start out slow. It was surprising how much I felt that. I mean, I ride on the Shinkansen and I don't even think about it, but something about size of the car, maybe. You feel more, and there's movement this way than there isn't movement that way. Yeah, that was probably one of the biggest shocks for me. Also, Buffalo Wild Wings is my new favorite restaurant.
That's so lame.
It's not
That's
lame.
so basic.
Oh,
You're
it's
basic.
Oh wow, that's really basic.
It is basic.
Yeah, but I had every flavor so good.
When I go back to America, something that has struck me is people make eye contact like a lot more. Like not people you talk when you speak to somebody in Japanese or in Japan, they speak to you and they make normal eye contact and everything. But when you're walking past people, like people don't make eye contact with strangers. And in America, people do, and that kind of freaks you out if you haven't been in that environment very much. So that was very noticeable. How noisy people are is pretty noticeable in America too. Like if you're in a restaurant and the people are just quite loud. Like in Japan, it's usually pretty quiet in restaurants unless it's like late at night and people have been drinking. Like that'll get kind of rowdy. But like in America, like restaurants are just noisy all the time, and like it's weird. And children are noisy in America. Like, and for some reason, children in Japan are really well behaved, like shockingly well behaved. You know, and
it's like they're zapping them with something.
Yeah, there must be something.
Until they just shut up.
They've got those shots.
Yeah,
they get those 6 shots. One of those is like a. The Japanese kids have a lot of them have got on their shoulder. They've got these 6 indentations.
I think it's 9.
Is it 9?
Yeah.
It's then they give them this gigantic immunization shot, like all at the same time, of a bunch of different things. So they've all got one of them, and I have this theory that one of the shots is like something that calms them all down or something, some sort of depressant or something. But they all behave very well. So that's people, I guess, basically is the answer. Is I notice. Like social things, I notice a lot when I'm in America. Some of it makes me anxious too. Like I'm not used to it, and it makes me kind of anxious. But after a while, I guess it'd probably wear off.
When I was in America, I missed the train system because I had to rely on a lot of people to take me here and there and set up times for everything. Having a train system would have been really nice. The other thing that I missed was how they heat things here. Here in Japan, we're in this room, we're hanging out in this room, we're only going to heat this room. So the door over there is closed and the door over there is closed, and only this room is getting heat. The other 2 rooms in the apartment are slowly getting colder and colder and colder, but nobody's in there. We're not wasting any energy to keep those things warm. When I was in America, they're wasted crap tons of energy to keep gigantic houses warm, and none of the rooms are warm. All of the rooms are cold. But yet...
all that electricity is
all that,
used.
oh gosh. I was so cold in America. And, I mean... oh, it was just really cold. It was very, very cold.
When I'm outside of Japan, I miss, like, just the order, and I miss people's service. Like, how polite everybody is. But the flip side of that is in America, you get to have like kind of small chat and stuff, like with the cashier, like, you know, just BSing with the cashier and stuff, and that kind of thing just doesn't happen here. That would be very strange to do with the cashier here. So it's kind of like a 2-sided thing. Like I miss that about America, and I miss like the unbelievably good service here when I'm outside of Japan. So both have got their advantages or whatever. That was the last question, and the thing is about to run out of time.
And I'm hungry, and I've got to pee.
And you've got to pee. So that was. Did you have fun? Yeah, it's fun. I actually learned about you doing these Q&As.
What did you learn about me?
I learned you have to pee.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I like hearing you talk. I like hearing your answers for things. So these are fun to me. Like, yeah, it's a good time. But I'm going to shut this off before the thing dies on us again. Thanks, guys. We will do another Q&A at some point again. Everybody together. Ready? Okay. 3, 2, 1.
This is
Chop!
the